Awesome. Thank you, Sierra, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the May edition of CaptureCast 2022. I'm Chris Harris, the Senior Enrollment Strategist here at Capture Higher Ed, and I'm excited and humbled that you've taken the time to join us today. And I hope that you hear one or two nuggets of things that you can make changes to your recruitment strategies, and then also here's some things that reaffirm what you're doing so that those strategies are the right ones moving forward for you. So why are we here today? Let's back up to about 2020, March 2020, actually, just before the pandemic hit. College universities had to pivot from about a 95% on-site visit. All of a sudden, here we go. We had to do 100% virtual interactions. Prospective students could no longer visit your campus. They couldn't meet with your faculty. They couldn't meet with your staff. They couldn't meet with your students. So we had to increase our digital footprints to make it really big, really bold, really robust. And I think that was one of the big things here, and kind of showing that as it got bigger here. But let's face it, Gen Z is already a digital native, and now millennials and Gen X, and actually all of the people in the world really got really good at doing the virtual interactions. But now millennials and Gen X's are really forced into interacting digitally with our prospective schools, not only for their kids, but also for themselves as many people are going back to get their master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and also continuing their online education. So for the first time ever, the higher education landscape finds itself in a precarious position. We've got declining enrollment in the undergraduate level for probably the past decade or more. Although the graduate and online enrollments continue to grow, there are less students graduating from high school, and that's going to really take that cliff in 2025. So we also have a population shift, and that's kind of what the map shows here is this population shift from the North and the Midwest to places like where I am in South Carolina and out West. So this population is moving, and that's causing some great consternation for a lot of the colleges and universities out there, because typically your primary and secondary markets are within 180 to 250 miles of your campus. So as the population shifts, it's important that you stay relevant and make sure that you also have a lot of information out there. Being that college and universities are not technological companies or digital experts in many cases, they turn to organizations like Capture and Platform Q Education, who will meet Alice here in a couple minutes, to help reach those prospective students and their influencers. Now that the pandemic has kind of moved away, one of the things that we're noticing is that we're still having to push content out, not to one, not to two, not to three, but 5 generations of people. Because the influencers now are ranging from grandma and grandpa, because they're online now as well. Because of what happened with COVID, they're online as well. We're having to push content out there that's relevant to everybody. So as we go through this, the digital footprint left behind has taken root and flourished in our digital and native prospective students. So as this is only going to grow, I believe, although we've kind of returned back to what we've seen, people returning to campus and doing campus visits, that digital footprint that we have started to grow within higher education is going to continue to grow, and we need to get really good at it. So today's special guest is, we're going to meet Alice Aridando. And it's awesome because Alice just got promoted yesterday. And we're going to talk to her face to face in a minute, but she is now the Vice President for Recruitment and Enrollment Strategy at Platform Q Education. We are super happy that she's helping us today. We're going to talk about how to formulate your immersive digital experience, how to leverage your behavioral data so that you are able to engage every prospect at every stage of the enrollment process with relevant content. I think when you look at it overall, making sure that these students who are having this digital experience are getting personal communication from you, making them know that you want them is an important piece. So we've got about 35 minutes to spend with you today, so let's go ahead and get started. So why are we here today? And when we take a look at why we're here today, advancements in technology coupled with the pandemic have changed the nature of higher education recruitment. We had started as an industry to kind of dabble in marketing and advertising and website development and video and things like that for the last probably 7, 8 years. But really, we really had to kick it into gear when the pandemic hit, right, guys? I think that was a really important thing. So how are today's prospective students interacting with your digital assets and strategies? You have to ask that question every single day. Are you getting the results that you see? Are you being able to measure those things? And are you be able to make changes on the fly as you go? Second, what are the right tools and data to engage with prospective students and their families when they're ready? When they're ready, not between the hours of 8 and 5. It doesn't happen that way. Students are doing all kinds of things. Parents are doing all kinds of things with them. They're interacting with your stuff at 9, 10, 11, 12, 2 o'clock in the morning. Does your strategy take that into account? Are you able to interact with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and provide meaningful content? 3, how do you get the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to your digital marketing and advertising efforts? We all know right now in higher education, budgets aren't getting any bigger. We need to be better stewards of our information. We need to have better stewards of our money so that we are making the biggest impact that we can with every dollar that we have. And as technology changes, pricing changes. So it's important that you stay up to date on that or find somebody to help you. That would be Capture or Platform Q Education to help you make sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. And finally, how do you use this texting and email, digital ads, your website, video, all these digital channels to optimize your enrollment efforts? Do you have an immersive plan? I think that's really important. It is a plan. The recruitment plan is no longer, we're going to buy names, we're going to go out on the road, we're going to come back, we're going to make phone calls, and these kids are going to show up. We have to have a plan that integrates all of that, what we used to do in the old school days, to what we have and what we're doing right now. So I think that's important. How do you optimize your enrollment efforts from top to bottom when you don't have a ton of money around? So for those of you who are new to the Capture Cast, a little bit about who we are. Simply put, Capture Higher Education is the leading enrollment marketing and recruitment organization, hands down. Our team of experts leverage the industry's only behavioral intelligence platform to deliver the best-in-class marketing solutions and strategic initiatives. One of the things we do is we're the very best at identifying, converting, and enrolling the right students for your campus. This is what we've done for nearly a decade, and while others try to use those same words, identify, convert, enroll, these are the words that we live by every day. We make every interaction count, and I'm not talking about interactions between prospective student and the prospective college or university. I'm also talking about the interactions that we have with our partner institutions. As an organization, we take our conversations with our partners very seriously, and we measure everything. We measure everything every day. So let's talk about identify and convert and enroll really quickly. I think the first thing when we look at identify, it's finding the right prospective students to target for application and inquiry development, including those students who are not only that did you buy those names, but for those students who are stealth visitors on your website. So last year's class, for the 2021 class, we identified about 8,000 students per client school on average. That was enough interested and engaged students for schools to fill their classes 7 times on average. Think about that for a second. If you're able to identify when that student is on your website and you are able to provide dynamic, relevant, timely information to that student, specific to that student, think about your conversion rates. So speaking of conversion, when we do these micro conversations throughout the student's exploration process, it ultimately results in that application, okay? So students who are identified on the school's website are 24 more times likely to apply than the rest of the prospect pool. But those who have seen dynamic content before their application, 31% went on to apply. 31%. So 31% of those prospects that you bought went on to apply. That's a big deal. And lastly, enrolling, driving admitted students to deposit and enroll with the control needed to shape your class number one and to effectively use your dollars while using your marketing resources wisely. You know, for our average clients, those who go through our process, 62% of them did see some and engaged with our dynamic content on those websites. So it went from 62%, but some of the other schools that we've had, even recently, and I can name 2 off the top of my head, it's as high as 98%. 98% of the students who are going to enroll at those institutions interacted with our stuff. And I think that's really, really important to go through that. So as we always do with Capture Cast, we happen to do a quick survey. We'll do one at the beginning, we'll do one at the end, just to kind of get a pulse check of what's going on here. So Sierra's going to run this for us from from home today in Minnesota as she visits her family. But let's ask this quick question: which of the following best describes your current digital strategy for recruiting students? A, is it very strong and we are meeting our enrollment goals? B, decent, but we're missing some pieces. C, we struggle to position ourselves in the marketplace. And D, what's an immersive digital strategy and how is it done? So go ahead and submit your answers, and we'll take a quick 30 seconds to gather that information. I'm going to bet that everybody's picking B. I think that's where we're going to be. Decent, but we're missing some pieces. We don't understand what's actually happening. But we're doing it, but we can't measure it, right? And then there's others out there who struggle to position themselves in the marketplace. That's why it's important to have an immersive digital engagement strategy. Okay, let's see the results. Everybody in? And I was right. Decent, but we're missing some pieces, right? A couple people are very strong. Hopefully those are clients. And if you're not, you should be. But again, 21%, what's immersive digital strategy and how is it done? And then 12% are saying we struggle to position ourselves in the marketplace. So really overall, I think it's important that you really take a look at how you're moving yourself through that process and starting to build out, importantly, build out and use experts in the field to build out this immersive digital strategy that's out there. So let's define immersive digital engagement. So immersive digital engagement draws prospective students in and their families into a specific digital recruitment strategy, right? So think of it this way. You're going to try to create positive engagement with your institution without them stepping foot on campus. It's the initial piece of it. More and more institutions are buying freshman, sophomore, and junior names. How are you interacting with them to create brand awareness, to get them to come visit and eventually apply? But there's a difference between what we call immersive and submersive. Okay. Remember back 10 to 15 years ago, we all wanted to be, and yes, I've been in this game for a long, long time. I spent 25 years on your side of the desk and moved over to Capture Higher Ed just about a year ago. And I remember 15, 20 years ago, we were sitting around saying, how can we be different in the mailbox? Remember that? Remember when we said, okay, we're going to send out this size of postcard, or we were going to send out no view book this year, but we're going to send out a search piece. And we were mailing 600,000 search pieces, or we were mailing 1 million different postcards. We wanted to be different in the physical mailbox. But now we have the ability to be different in the mailbox, in the email inbox, the social media inbox, and in the advertising mailbox. Okay, it's high time that admissions, we start to think about this in ways that we are going beyond the click and that mass email and that mass texting that everybody's doing. But we need to do that at the individual recruitment level. It's what students and families are demanding now. We have to talk about our value. We have to talk about what makes our institution special, but it's special to that student. I was reviewing a recruitment plan the other day and I went through and I was looking at the messaging, and at no point in this messaging for this prospective school do they say, hey, we want you to come. Simple. They don't make the ask. Does that student feel wanted if you don't make the ask? So let's think about this. So what ways can we engage with our students? Number one, hosting virtual events, and we've got a treat for you today. Alice is here from Platform Q Education, and she's going to talk about hosting virtual events and placing on-demand video content all over your site and how you interact with students through email and things like that. It's going to be a fantastic conversation. Two, engaging students with their families with dynamic content on your website. Again, is your website alive? Does your website understand what is happening in the marketplace? Does it understand that it's not Chris that's visiting, it's Johnny, it's Rudy, it's Max, okay? Whoever it might be, it has to be personalized to that student. Three, targeting and retargeting prospective students through contextual advertisement. Think about this for a second. If we're able to serve dynamic content on the website, why can't we serve up digital ads that do the same thing? If we know that Chris has already applied, maybe we need to push Chris to deposit. We're going to serve him an ad that says, hey, Chris, you need to deposit. right? So again, not just the blast email, not just the brand awareness email or digital advertising or whatever it's going to be. It's personal to what you're doing through that journey. And then triggering email and text messaging communications, either by your CRM or by your counselors. And we're going to talk about the importance of counselors today too, because I think a lot of times we forget about the counselors and how much pressure that they're under, especially right now in May and in June and July, and then finally in August. So the immersive marketing journey kind of starts with, and really we've seen this before, the student search. We all know that we buy some information, whether it's from ACT or Encora or CapEx or any of the, or Niche or any of those other companies that are out there that are helping. But student search is a big deal. But also remember that we have the ability to grab students early on. Students know who you are. They're on your website every single day. If you're not able to raise your standards and be able to make sure that you're gathering their data so that you can drive future trends of application and deposit, that kind of thing, you're missing the boat because they're visiting your stuff right now. So when we talk about, and this is just an example of a journey, but if we have student search, we're able to obviously send out a capture tracked email. Being able to put out an email where a student, as soon as they click on it, we know who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. We're tracking them, we're creating a profile for them, and that's what the next step is creating that behavioral intelligence platform profile within Engage. And I think that's important. And we're going to show you an example of that later and the importance of it being at the individual level. It's not, oh, I got a click or I got an open. That's not enough anymore. Okay. So as we go to it, then you're going to start doing some digital advertising to that student because you know who that student is. If you purchase that name, you might know exactly where they are, what high school they go to, what major they're interested in, what their self-reported GPA is, what their test score might be. There's a lot of different things that you can send out and that is very particular to that student. Segmentation. Remember what we heard about segmentation back when we were in college. I remember being in marketing class, and I'm a West Liberty University Hilltopper alumni. But I can remember hearing Dr. John McCullough say to me, Chris, responsive doesn't mean you don't plan. Immersive doesn't mean that you don't plan. It means that you have already planned for the future interactions based upon the data that shows what the student is expected to do in the future. We have to think ahead. If we do this, what's the next thing that's going to happen, right? So if we do that, we have the behavioral email series. There is a lot of information on our website about the behavioral email series, and also there is an actual webinar that Dr. Ken Sigler and I did a few months back. If you really want to get into it, we can spend a lot of time there. I don't want to do that today. But then we're going to talk a little bit about PID forms, the progressive identification forms today, and the importance of doing it right and not just having it on your website. We're going to talk about Engage events next. We're going to bring in Alice here in a second. Obviously, we're going to get them to apply, and then they're going to complete their application. So this is what the journey talks about. And really, the journey kind of sets itself up through Engage in marketing automation. And when we talk about the behavioral intelligence platform, there's 4 pieces to it, okay, 4. The first is the marketing automation through Engage. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about that today, but there are 3 other pieces too, and those are the predictive models: apply, aid, and enroll under one platform. Let me say that again: marketing automation, application, aid, financial aid, and enrollment, all under one platform. Not do you need to bring in 6 different platforms into one thing and try and get it right. One platform, one place to go to get your answers. So Engage marketing automation really identifies prospects. It allows you to connect with relevance. It saves resources. You can measure what you're doing every day and make adjustments to your advertising dollars every day. You can make adjustments to what your counselors are doing every day, making sure that they're staying on track. And also generate inquiries. You can generate applications as well. But it takes the behavioral data that we're gathering through the behavioral intelligence platform. We're creating dynamic content, serving that out, measuring it. And then we're going to talk about Engage events. And now, let me introduce to you Alice Aridando. Alice, are you there? There you are. I see
I
you, Madam
am.
Vice President. How are you?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me today.
That's awesome, Alice. And thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I think our pre-conversation and some of the stuff that we've got going on, I think it's really important for us to really get out there for everybody. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and congratulations on being named Vice President. I feel humbled. Hopefully, I'm the first person to say that in a giant forum. Like,
You are.
congratulations, you are vice president. Okay, hopefully, and tell us a little bit about you, your background, and then also give us a little bit of history on stuff like that about Platform Q education. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I have been in the field now for 20 years. My first 18 years were spent on the admissions side of the desk. I spent 6 years at the University of Kansas working in admissions and enrollment management there as I was completing my master's degree and my doctoral degree there. And then I went to the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and spent 12 years at UMKC. I was director of admissions there and had integrated video into our strategic recruitment plan pretty effectively since about 2017, 2018 or so. And at some point, had the opportunity to head over to Platform Q Education in August of 2020. So right sort of in the middle of everyone's strategies or lack of strategies blowing up because everyone was just trying to convert everything that they had been doing in person to a virtual environment. But since that time, I've been able to help a number of our clients reinsert those in-person experiences while still keeping active video-powered strategies within their overall recruitment strategy, continuing to keep students engaged through video. And so I've been doing that now for almost 2 years, previously as Senior Director of Client Strategy and now as Vice President of Recruitment and Enrollment Strategies. So I mean, the work that we do is really impactful. So Platform Q Education really focuses on video-powered student recruitment. And we have a platform called Conduit that is an institutionally branded platform. So it's not a platform that when a student logs into it, they see Platform Q Education or they see Conduit. They see the institution. They see the University of Missouri, Kansas City. They see the University of South Carolina. They see Gettysburg College. They see our partner institutions and their names and their brands and their images and those sorts of things. But what they also see and what they also engage with are videos that are relevant to that student at whatever phase they are in the admissions process. And we spend a lot of time with our partners developing their strategy so that they don't have to go it alone and so that they can figure out how best to integrate video into everything else that they're doing to really tell their story. And so we have a team, a great team of people who combined have over 140 years in higher education. I will say that I'm the old lady in the group with the 20 years of experience, but we've got a great team who really supports all of our partners and spends a lot of time just thinking about the individual partner, what their needs are, what their enrollment goals are, what current strategies they have in place, ways in which we can fill gaps to try and relieve some of the pressures or the burdens that they have in trying to fill those gaps, and have found great success with our clients. And so that's really kind of what we do is really help colleges and universities lead with video, integrate video in their storytelling and in their recruitment efforts.
so Alice, let's back up for a second because you said something
Yeah,
that was kind of interesting to me. Um,
yeah,
you said what they're doing now. So let's talk about now for 2 seconds.
yeah,
And this is going to be important. Everybody wants to write this down. If you're going to write anything and take anything away from today, I think you want to write the next 10 minutes down. I'm going to just kind of throw it at you, Alice, here.
okay,
We're in a weird state of the calendar right now, right? So it's May,
yeah.
May 19th. We're 19 days after past the May 1, quote unquote, do or die line kind of situation in higher ed. What are some things? So we have to finish off this class, first of all, right? So we have a class of 2022 that we're trying to bring in, but we're also thinking about January 2023 and then beyond, right? From there. What, from your perspective, you know, event-wise, online videos, kinds of things, what kinds of things can our partners be doing right now in the way of video to help melt mitigation, number one, because I think that's on everybody's mind, but also still attract, because I've talked to a number of guidance counselors within the last, probably the last month here in the state of South Carolina, And they're saying that their top students really haven't made decisions yet. There are still a ton of students out there who have not made final decisions yet about where they're going to school. What are some of the things that we can be doing right now to support those people finding the right school?
Yeah, so I want to touch quickly on right now and how things look. And I think one of the things that scares people about video powered strategies is that they automatically go to the concept of live events, which is what everyone had to do in the pandemic. And so they think about adding a virtual event on top of their high school visits and their college fairs and their admitted student days. And if you're an office that also has orientation, how do you manage live events on top of that? And we've really moved into a place where live events have their time and place, but on-demand video content, streaming on-demand video content is really what you want to be thinking about. If you think about when you want to watch a video, you want to watch it whenever you want to watch it. You want to be able to get into Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever your preferred streaming service is and watch the videos and shows that you want to watch when you want to watch them. And our students are no different. Their parents are no different. Our counselors are no different. And now that they're back into their daily lives and into their activities, they're not showing up for a 6 p.m. or a 7 p.m. live event in the ways that they were in 2020 and even in 2021. So how do we create short, segmented 3 to 5 minute videos that we can push out on a streaming platform? How can we use Conduit, for example, as a streaming platform? And so what we're thinking about now and what we're doing as we work with partners right now is thinking about where are seniors or transfer students even who are looking to enter in the fall of 22, where are they in their journey? And what we know about the student journey right now in this decision-making process is that they really are still trying to make decisions, or they're trying to make the connection to the institution that they have committed to. They don't know what they don't know. And so they want to know what their next steps should be. And I don't mean next steps just in the sense of, well, you've accepted your offer of admission and you've accepted your financial aid award and you've applied for and accepted housing. I mean, what are those next things that they should be thinking about over the next 3 months? What does move-in day look like? What should I be bringing to college? Do I need an entire U-Haul of stuff?
Yes.
Or do I actually need, essentials? What are those things that I need? What do I need to know about the campus community? What do I need to know about the community around campus? So we're seeing some things related to a lot of student-led video. Current students, they are your biggest influencer, even beyond your admissions reps, parents, family, friends. Your current students are your biggest influencer right now. So how do you let them go out onto your campus to their favorite spot and use their iPhone to record themselves talking about that favorite spot and why when you get to campus, you should check it out because it'll become your favorite spot? Or how do you let them go off campus to their favorite coffee shop or their favorite restaurant or their favorite park and record themselves on their iPhones and say, this is a pretty cool place, and when you get here, you should check it out? How do you let your students talk about those things and really help your students who've committed or who are committing make those connections, know what their next steps should be, know what they're looking forward to as they head into the fall? And when we think about students moving forward in fall 23, they're starting the investigation process. So they're thinking right now, what does this even look like? What am I supposed to be doing, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So that's next steps as well. How do you write an essay? What does the application look like? If you're a Common App school, how do you complete the Common App? You can break the Common App down into 4 different videos, a short video on each section of the Common App. And students who've got questions about the essay portion, they can watch that video and they don't need to watch a 45-minute video to gain just the 3 to 5 minutes that they're looking for. And you can pre-record these things just like we're doing right now.
Right.
Students across the pandemic have said that they don't think college videos are authentic. They're overproduced, they're overmarketed, they're overscripted, they're not authentic. So you don't have to produce content that is that is high level marketing. There's a time and a place for it. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
There's a time and a place for it. But it's also okay to ask someone to jump on a Zoom and do a recording about a particular topic of interest or of need. It's okay to ask someone to use their cell phone to go out to that spot on campus and record something. Students will watch it, they seek it, they need it, they want it, and they continue to say, tell me about these things and do it beyond your virtual tour. Give me other video content that I can't get in your virtual tour and connect me with your school in those ways.
I think that's really interesting because we talk about TikTok and the reels on YouTube and things like that. And I can't tell you how many times, and don't tell my boss this, but sometimes I sit here and I get, I'm down in this rabbit hole for 20 minutes during the day, watching crazy stuff, how to fly a plane. I have no idea why I wanted to fly a plane, but I want to fly a plane. Just all these different things that are out there, but there's so much, to your point, content that can be created. I'm not so much on the fly, but it can be created in a way that is authentic. I know that there's a couple of college presidents that I've seen who have sent messages or have created messages for mom and dad.
Yep.
And they put it out there and they send it out in an email saying, your son or daughter is going to be okay. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do foolish things while they're here, but we're going to take care of them and we're going to get them to graduate. So there's a lot of opportunity out there to create some pretty decent video, like you said, but there's also steps that we have to put out there too. Like I was thinking about, you were talking about registration for orientation and things like that. I was thinking about filling out the FAFSA, paying your bill, how to do those things, because a lot of times parents won't get that information in the email because Johnny doesn't want to give his email to his parents a lot of times. So, but I think that's important. I think that's important. So thinking about that right now, Alice, I think that's really, really important that people, there's still time and there's still opportunity to get decent, relevant content out there for everybody. So cool. When we talk about conduit, I'm going to just jump ahead for you a little bit here.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about Engage Events and how it works and how we've come together as really two companies have come together to work together to put this together.
Yeah, so we really work together, both Platform Q Education and Capture, to make sure that what you're doing in terms of your video strategy is integrated with all of your other digital strategies, and that as those things are happening and students are engaging with all of that, that you're seeing the behavioral patterns of individual students so that you can then create the right kind of follow-up or the right kind of next steps or make data-informed decisions about what you should be doing next for your students. And, a minute ago you said, you may not want to do this on the fly, and that's true. You don't want to do any of this on the fly. You don't want to record something on the fly and just send it out. That's where people like us come into play to sit down with you to say, here are the things you should be thinking about. Here's when we should create these, and here's when we should release them. And we should release them in alignment with other emails that you're sending out or print that you're sending out or when students are coming to campus, right? So you shouldn't be doing any of this on the fly. You should be thinking strategically about it and relying potentially on partners like us to provide you that support and that knowledge in terms of doing that. For us, we can host live events, pre-recorded sessions, on-demand video content. And the way that we work with you guys on that is we've got, the codes embedded in all of that video content. So you can see and link together the activity that's happening on the Conduit platform with the activity that's happening on your website or anywhere else you've got that code embedded. So we're able to really, sync up that student activity across multiple places, which, as someone who is a former director who really appreciates that data and knowing what students are doing, I think is pretty cool. Also, we help students get into our platform without needing to fill out a registration form or without needing to fill out an inquiry form. If you have a list of students that you want to be engaging with the video content, all we need is first name, last name, and email address, and we're able to generate an individualized tokenized URL that when the student clicks on that in the body of an email or in the content of a text message, it automatically takes them into your video content. And now we can see everything that they're doing within the platform and everything that they're watching. alongside anything that they're doing on the platform or on your EDU sites. We also offer live chat, and I can tell you that this was one of the most effective things that we did at UMKC even prior to the pandemic. We hosted what one might consider to be office hours, where we had our student ambassadors available through live chat on the umkc.edu pages throughout the day, and students would come, parents would come, and they would ask questions in place of sending an email, in place of calling. And it has become, and still is, one of the most effective ways in which prospective students and parents engage with that particular institution. And then, as I mentioned, the data piece that I love and that I sort of geek out about when I get a chance to dive into it, but the ability to deliver all of this data from platform queue, from capture, to connect it and deliver all of it seamlessly to your CRM so that you have it at the ready and can do something with it. I think is really important. And it's not just that you have it, it's that we're helping guide you with what to do with it as well. So you're getting it, but you're also getting guidance on now what do you do with it once you have it. So I just think
I think that's
overall the
important.
partnership and everything just works really well together.
Well, I think the important part is like you said, bringing all that data together into one place, I think is a really big deal. And being able to drive
Yes.
content to where it needs to go is also a big thing. And then having the ability to strategize what to do next with it, because we're gathering more data than we've ever gathered before, but what are we doing with it and what's the next step for us? So that's awesome. One of the things that we talk about a little bit, gang, is when we talk about the ability to identify students, we're going to talk a little bit about the PID form here. But the PID form is at the top of the funnel. As stealthy prospects engage with your web content, this form can appear on your website. We set it up with different rules, so it's not there all the time. It's not a pop-up that just happens to be there all the time. But there are rules that are set there. But it's offered to students who are not in your inquiry or suspect pool to gather additional data. But then it also takes another step forward. So as a student becomes more immersed in your recruitment strategies, as they process through the funnel, they might need to maybe get more information about the honors program or about a club or an organization. It's not about just creating inquiries, but you can grab all this other information to send out more relevant conversations and have more relevant conversations and send out more relevant content to that student in a way that doesn't submerge them, but immerses them into your institution. But I think one of the things that is really important, again, to just let you know is that those students who fill out a PID form, whether it's at the beginning of the prospecting process when they raise their hand for the first time, or if they're filling it out to register themselves for new student orientation later, 14 times, if they deposit 14 times more often than those who don't fill out a PID form. So PID forms done correctly, done strategically, will produce, on average, 14 times more of the deposits that you need to go forward. Another piece of dynamic content is the conversion piece. So we're talking about identify, convert, and enroll. One of those pieces is using the dynamic content to convert stuff through. And what I've pulled up here is one of my other alma maters, Heidelberg. Go Berg, by the way. And I hope you guys are doing well there in Tiffin, Ohio. But what you'll see here is that we can produce dynamic content on the website depending upon where the student is at any given time. So as our information comes in from your CRM into Engage, we're able to send out different pieces of content. So you'll see here, the first one here, connect with us, raise your hand, fill out a form, tell us who you are. The next one would be schedule a visit. Obviously, that's what you want them to do. You want to get them on campus a lot of times. Apply now. Everybody's got an apply now button, but are you serving it strategically on your website, or is it just a button someplace that's always on every single page? Then as they get through the process, submit their deposit. Submit your deposit, okay? And then lastly, register now. Register for new student orientation. Raise your hand, say it's time for me to go to it. But we use dynamic content to be proactive. It's always a call to action, massive action, okay? So it's an extension of your counseling staff, because your counseling staff can't make phone calls 24 hours a day. And I also want to ask you a quick question too about this. when we were producing those kinds of small video contents and vignettes and things like that, you could probably put a video with each one of these, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You can link videos to all kinds of things and really get the student engaged more than you would otherwise, right?
Right.
They will read things, but they will watch things first and foremost.
Right. So I think that's a really good point. And as we move into targeting and retargeting in contextual advertisement, I think one of the things we bring up, one of our partner institutions here, Duquesne University out of Pittsburgh, we're talking about connecting the dots, right? So we retarget messages based upon students' current status. So if the student meets a certain segment, in this case, we're looking to grow summer enrollment, taking a couple of classes, get your feet wet, come to Duquesne, see what it's like. But it can be focused in on some different things, and creating that content up front is important. But what I want to be really mindful of here is how we put in the different measuring tools. So you'll see how many times this impression has popped up, how many clicks it's had, how many identified clicks there are, and then as you dig in deeper, you'll actually be able to tell who those students are. And I'm going to show you that here in 2 seconds. But triggering email and text outreach as well. Again, we have this really cool thing, and I was just on a phone call this morning with our data science team, and it is a data science team. These people are the smartest people I've ever met in my entire world. They know statistics inside and out, and they test all these crazy things, and they come up with all these great answers. But we know after 500 million emails over the last decade or so, what works and what doesn't work. We know how many words need to be in an email at a certain time of the funnel. We know what works and what doesn't work. And I think one of the things that we do with triggering email, obviously through your CRM or some of the stuff that we do through the behavioral intelligence platform, is that we are able to create that massive action that is necessary. We can communicate next steps in a form that students want. These students still want email. We didn't think they wanted postcards in the mail. They still want postcards, but they still want email. But they want the email to be relevant, in particular to them. You have to be authentic and personalized and relevant with that information. And you can see with this particular email here, they were driving all the time. As students interact with the website, the rules kick in and they serve up these emails. One of the last things I want to talk about too is making sure that we all understand that the email and the text outreach by your counselors and your CRM is still very, very important. Every interaction is recorded. So as we send out triggered email and we send out text for you, or we're working through that, or your student is visiting the website, we measure everything. And every day when you come to the office, and I found this the most important thing that we did every morning at my institutions that we had this, we would sit and we would read the email that we would get, our daily visitor report from Capture every morning, and say, here are the 250 students that visited our website last night. Here is where they went and visited. Here's how long they were there. Here's what they were looking for. That way we can supplement with our counseling staff with phone calls or an extra text message or putting something in the mail like congratulations on visiting the website, whatever that message might be. But it's information that can be used to drive your counselor's work every day. So when a counselor walks in and they've got a book of 500 applications that they're working with, on some campuses, they're able to send out relevant information to people who are engaged, who are able to do this. And you're able to, as an institution, then look at the test, look at these scores that we provide to you and send out additional information. So as students move through the process, again, you can send video links out to them to make sure that they have everything that they need to make sure that they're making a great decision moving forward. And lastly, this is talking about the behavioral intelligence platform, and I've kind of touched upon this already, but I think one of the things that's important to understand is that the platform is itself a big, giant machine of great things. We have the marketing automation, we have the predictive model, we've talked about that, and we have the marketing solution. So we do digital advertising, obviously, email, texting, marketing. We work with our friends at Platform Q Education as well to help with the video. But it's really the biggest thing that you need to take away from this is that this is managed service. Okay, this is an extension of your enrollment and marketing team. We have data scientists, we have enrollment managers, and we have people that work with our clients every single day, reviewing the data every single day. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of situation, or where you come to us later on and things aren't working out, and we got like, oh, we got to buy 200. You didn't buy 200,000 extra names right now. We're going to see these things happening overnight right now, and we're going to be able to make those conversions a little bit faster. And when we talk about conversions, I just want to kind of show you what it kind of looks like here. That's student data we have already talked about. That's where the search information comes in. We have our digital strategies that we're trying to drive those inquiries, drive those applications, but then we're measuring that student behavior. So that student behavior comes in, then all of a sudden we add in the behavioral intelligence platform. That measures everything for you. All right, it's in one space, and I can't tell you how convenient that is to be able to log into one place, and really find out where all of your information, where your spend is going, and what tweaks that you can make and we can make with you along the way, so that you can focus what is important to distribute and distribute your spend accordingly with your marketing dollars. Again, advertising is not cheap. Pay-per-click is not cheap. All right, but it's something that we have to do and we have to manage on a day-to-day basis. Your counselor outreach. We're talking about counselor burnout right now, right? We've been talking about the great resignation. I looked on higher ed, inside higheredjobs.com or whatever it was the other day. There's over 600 positions open in enrollment management. That's a lot. That's a lot. So be thinking about how you can work on making sure that your counselors are doing meaningful work. I think that's one thing that they really, really want. And then obviously to distribute your print in maximum impact while controlling your costs. You don't need to send out 600,000 view books. You don't. You can choose who you send things to as long as they go through that. So one last pulse check. Here's our last question of the day for everybody out there. So do you feel you are capturing enough insight from your prospective students' behavior that you understand what they're interested in? Do you understand what they're doing? Are you being able to grab that? So thank you, Sarah, for popping that up. Your approach is top grade. You are doing everything. You're doing it well, and you're very satisfied with it. You have an idea. You have an idea of what's going on, but you're not really sure if it's awesome yet. Your approach is more brand awareness than reactionary, and we see a lot of that out there right now. It's more of, hey, here's who we are, not here's who we are, what we do, and how we provide value to you. And then the other part is, I'm not sure what our approach is. It's just kind of out there. We don't work well together with our marketing department, or we're having trouble with funding and things like that. So another 5 or 6 seconds there on that, and go ahead and pop that up there, Sierra, what the answer might be. Okay, so look right there. Our approach is more brand awareness than reactionary. So we've got to be starting to think about that. So 63% of you are kind of like on that lower end. So that tells us that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I know that I'll speak a little bit for Alice and for our entire team here. We are here to help you get through this. We want to help you. We want to make sure that you are getting the investment that you need from our teams to make sure that at the end of the day, you are getting the students that you need to make sure that you guys are successful. So some final thoughts as we get off here today. One, college search experience for student is dynamic. I think we've already established that. It is always moving. You need to be on the move and be thinking not only tomorrow, but next week, next year, and 2 years from now. Two, Gen Z is using several different tools to engage, and sometimes it changes mid-year. Sometimes they'll like that email, but no, I don't want that email. I want the video link, or I want the website to talk to me. And three, and this is kind of where I want Alice to kind of literally talk about this for a couple seconds. The modern recruitment approach leverages video early and often. So tell me what that means.
Yeah, so we see the most successful partners who leverage their video content from the top of the funnel all the way through yield and melt. And we see higher conversion rates at every phase of the funnel for those students who engage with video on the Conduit platform versus those students who don't. So we're not looking at just one single part of your recruitment strategy. We're looking at the entire funnel, and you need to be using video at every stage of it, whether that's starting at search all the way through. And just like you guys, we look at everything in real time and adjust the strategy as we go and as we need to. But it really does need to be integrated into everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Everything that we do needs to be measured, and it drives what you're going to do next. So having a
Exactly.
plan that's being able to be moved around a little bit is a big deal too. So make sure you guys are taking your data, measuring it, and moving forward. So one last thing, I want to invite everybody to the world's first and only free virtual conference for higher education, enrollment management, and marketing folks. Innovate 2022 is coming up soon, June 22nd through the 23rd. Join us from 1 to 4 p.m. We have great speakers. We've got great topics. All of that's on the website, and you will get an invitation to that as well. So we're kind of up against the end here, but I'm not sure. I think I got one question in here, Alice, that I want to ask that one of our listeners sent in. What have you seen in terms of student engaging with video, and what do they want to watch? What is some of the couple topics that right now that they want to watch?
Yeah, so in terms of engaging with video, they are doing it at all hours of the day. So they're doing it in the middle of the night, they're doing it in the middle of the day, and they're typically watching more than one video. So the way that we structure video content is by placing multiple shorter videos, on a particular page for them to access. And they do watch more than one video at a time, the same way that they would if they were on YouTube,
They flip
right?
through it. They flip through
They
it.
do.
It's an
They do.
amazing thing to
Everyone
watch.
says, I don't have 45 minutes to sit down and watch this, but inevitably you spend 45 minutes flipping through videos, right?
Don't
So
tell my boss.
yeah, yeah. But the things that they're engaging with are student-led video content, your current students talking about their experiences, anyone who's telling stories, your faculty who can tell stories about their students or about their classes or about their research. Those on campus who can talk about the community that's available on your campus, but really people who are telling stories and even telling what the next steps are a little bit in story-like format. I was a student once in your position, and here are the steps that you need to take. And when I took those steps, it made me feel even closer to becoming a member of XYZ institution, right? So they're really turning into things that are right fit, right size at the right time, right? At where we are in this process. And they're tuning into things that are being led by the right people. We do not want to be in a place anymore where you've got someone speaking to a camera and speaking for 45 minutes with a very boring PowerPoint slide. I think we were
What are you
pretty
saying? What are you
dynamic and
saying?
engaging. I think we were pretty dynamic and engaging
We
there
are
with some.
dynamic. You are the vice president, so we are dynamic. I appreciate that.
But I can tell you I've seen some that are not as dynamic and engaging.
Exactly.
So really rely on the people who've got the passion and the energy on your campus to really showcase everything that makes it special.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice President Alice. I am so excited for you and so happy for you. And thank you so much for joining us today on today's CaptureCast. And everybody out there, we are up against the time here. So today we're done for today. But I thank you all for joining us, and be sure to catch us at Innovate next month. And Sierra, it's all you.